So we're sitting out in the garage, relaxing, like we were last night. Again. And Jed is thinking he just is itching to just tinker on this thing. So we've been working on this stud. We've got coil soaking on both studs. And to recap very briefly, we've got one broken bolt on the driver's side, one broken bolt on the passenger side. So now we're left with little 1.5 inch studs that we need to extract. I don't have a welder here, but if I did, we would have welded a nut to this and just backed her on out probably. Anyway, how long have we been at this?
30 minutes maybe?
30 minutes, yeah.
Took a little bit to get the vice grips to settle onto the bolt where we could actually keep a grip on it without just shucking all the threads off.
Right.
And me and Jake both got a busted knuckle out of it. We're winning though.
We are. So we've probably, I would say we're halfway from where we started. We're halfway to having the stud out. It's been a little bit at a time. Reapplying coil, getting a different bite with the vice grips, breaking out the propane torch, getting that ear of the head nice and hot to get it to try to expand a little bit, beat on the stud with a hammer to try to use vibration to break some of the rust loose. And I'll tell you what, the lifesaver right now is this old trick that my grandpa taught me, who has since passed away. And I still use some of his garage tricks every day of my life. And that is to get your vice grips on there long ways, which is like in line with your stud, once you've already got it doing some moving around. And then you put a big old crescent wrench over the vice grips. Depending on the style of the vice grips and how big your crescent wrench is, it might not work just perfect. But now you get the leverage on there, 90 degrees to the stud.
All your pressure is right next to the end of that
and
stud.
You're biting it right on the stud. And let me tell you,
it's a knuckle saver.
It's really working great. And I'm done bashing my knuckles into things for a little while.
Don't jinx yourself. She's about to just fall out of there, I'm telling you.
Right? It's crazy, like the way that it feels. It makes a guy want to just go ahead and try to back it on out all the way. But because of how bad it was, we know not to do that. Just keep working it back and forth. Get that oil in those threads. A little bit at a time, not getting too big of a rush. And man, it has been working phenomenally.
Here we go. Oh, I ain't gonna step on you this time.
All right, Jed.
It's that moment.
I'm not going to get carried away, but
I'll be there. She is. Boy, that seems a lot of trouble.
right there we go. Are you focused on it?
Can you see it?
Focus on it.
Open your eyes.
Look at it. Can you see it? Is it in there?
Get.
Are you looking?
There you go.
Look at it.
Now they're looking at it.
Okay. So, that's the broken bolt. The remnants of it extracted. Now, we begin the process on the other broken one on the passenger side.
Do you guys want to get up like close? I'm talking like this close. You want to get up real close to it and see what we're doing? Maybe we'll scooch you in here when we get over there. show you our process. It's genius. Nothing short of it. Anybody that told you it was is lying or has never done it before. Probably never told right now. That's not what I told you to do. You're doing it wrong. Quit it. Quit it. Man, it's on there. I need smaller hands. Oh. There's my singing voice for that one. Okay, we have access all the way.
Don't run into that tripod now.
It's there, isn't it?
Yep.
So here's our busted one. We got a lot more exposed bolt to work with this time. But
this one also broke really easily.
And this one is a bit nastier than the other one. We're probably going to have to run this one in. Hit it with some more oil. Probably work on it and heat it up, and then try to bring it back to where it's at now, and then ease it the rest of the way. Because it's, if you look at this top end, Jake, I mean, it is. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
It's dirtier than things I don't want to talk about on camera. So,
I'm going to put one more drop of coil on it, and then we'll begin our process of doing a bunch of other things.
And I have to say, to a lot of people, it's going to look like we don't know what we're doing. And
those people are right.
Yeah, I didn't say it was wrong. But let me tell you what matters. You already know what I'm going to say. What matters is, does it work?
Right.
And indeed, it does.
So you already hit on that a couple times with a hammer, right?
Yep, gave her some bops.
Okay.
Now I just want to set these vice grips on there, wiggle them.
Yep. Keep digging, tightening, digging it, tightening it, digging it, tightening it.
Make some solid grooves so we can keep our grip on this bolt. Oh, wow. Hold on, let me grab my other purse. It's heavier. Ah! Nope. Going back. There we go. Boy, I haven't got no wiggle for it either. That was my finger. There we go. Starting to get some grooves.
How you feeling? You ready to come out of there? Because if you're not, you better get ready.
I shouldn't have set that down so far when I started. I should have started it up here.
Well, we could, if you want to swing them around here, shoot that thing out this way.
Think like this?
Maybe upside down. And then we can just give it, just to move it, your point up. Like your grab point.
Yeah, we definitely want to tighten as we start.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll bring her back that way a little bit. And I'm sure I'll bash into the treble light 100 times and start cussing it and end up breaking the bulb. And then I'm going to have to go inside and get an LED bulb to put in it, which I've had for a while now. But, you know, quite frankly, I'm just waiting for me to drop this one.
Why use something that's not broken? Wow. That hurts the hand. I'm not even joking. Oh, did you hear him talking to me?
Mm-hmm.
I think it might be bar time. Let me... Are you good there?
Yeah, I was wondering if I lost focus once I moved the light. Where the heck?
No.
Oh. It's because we have the vice grip weird now. I'm going to bring her back now.
Oh, that's... Wow, did you see what he just did? I mean... I can see fingerprints on that thing now. Wow. come in with the... What's on your arm? Oh, I ain't got no head. 0 wiggles. Just drive into the bolt now, which is okay.
Time to tighten her up a little bit. Or
Yeah.
try anyway, I guess.
And then probably have you man this.
Oh, we forgot that step. Well, not forgot. We were trying to get a little jiggle,
Yeah.
then heat, jiggle, heat, jiggle, heat.
Okay. How much we got? Why does that sound like bolt?
I know, doesn't it? It's weird.
It is.
It's just
Wiggle.
like this much, though.
Yeah.
The vice grips do need tightened up a little bit. But I'm ready for heat if you're ready for a little bit of heat.
Noticeable turn.
Okay.
So now that we got that wiggle room in there, we're not really... Yeah, we are. So let me tighten a little bit so it's easier to get on this. Let's really just feed her the beans.
You want to do heat? No?
Yeah, we probably ought
Yeah,
to,
yeah,
shouldn't
yeah,
we?
probably.
While it's still moving.
We need to do the heat and hammering.
Okay.
You'll have to be like catty corner of the camera, I guess. I don't know.
I'm just going to hold my hand here while you start. So.
Probably yank that one off.
Yeah.
You've already yanked them off.
Got some tape.
What do you mean?
I need to mark. Well, okay.
Yeah, we can. That's all minor details. We can Google later.
What are you talking about over there, bud?
He's got his foot in his ear.
Oh. Ball. Don't play with fire.
No. Never play with fire. Just use it correctly.
So when I start seeing that oil dry up on the end of that ear, I know that there's at least some temperature inside next to those threads. And we'll start hammering on it just a little bit since we got it moving. And like Jake said, we'll try to get some vibrations in them threads and break some of that junk loose. I like seeing them sparks fly.
Makes you feel like things are happening.
What'd you say?
I'm gonna go around the other side.
Did you say hit it just a little harder? I mean, you didn't do it too hard, but I think you guys need to calm down.
Break it down. Yeah. Hit it.
Hammer time, hammer time, hammer time, hammer time. All right.
Goobers.
She's pretty dry.
It's probably enough for now, anyway. I'm confident enough that I'm taking the nozzle off of this bottle.
Nice.
It's going to come out exactly like the other one did, as long as we don't get in a hurry. And then remember last time what I did once we got some good movement out of it, WD-40. Now that the coil has penetrated, we get the WD-40 in there to lubricate. All bolt?
You know, oh yeah.
Okay.
You know, I wouldn't have broke this bolt if I would have just calmed down. I get excited sometimes. I would say it's not my fault, but it is. Okay. Well, that was a half turn right there already.
All right.
Goodness, why did this bolt even break?
WD-40?
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we can start with our crescent wrench.
Yep.
But I'm going to really waller these down. Go! Ow! You don't even have any... Yeah, you do.
I hope somebody comments about your boots being unlaced.
It's late, and you're not my mom. So, go home. Oh, yeah. All day. I'm going to hit that one more time. This thing gets carried away. We're going to have a mess on the floor. We do. What have I done? I'm going to go sit in the truck. Oh, yeah. That's saying something if I can twist it with my skinny little girl hands.
Yep.
So, then, come in here with these old girls and really start making progress. Work with me here. Come, thank you. Just thank you. Just like, all right. Nice and tight.
Whoa. That seemed like a lot. But
It's
whatever you feel in the wrench, I trust.
I'm a little off center, but I'm not stopping. Yes, no, I'm not. No, I'm not. So.
Stop.
What are you guys doing down there? Anyway, at least you showed up. I just didn't really use my... they just decided to go.
They're coming off right now.
Wait a second. Nope, not waiting a second. So, basically, since we've wallered these vice grips on
It's zoomed in.
this way...
You're going to have to almost touch your cheek to the head for them to see you.
You're so goofy.
That's how zoomed in it is.
Well, we're not working on my face. That's pointless. So, since we've wallered this bolt this way with these vice grips, it has inevitably flattened each side. So now, what we're using is the old tricks that Jake was mentioning, and getting these, instead of fighting these vice grips around this way and busting knuckles and not liking what we're doing, we're going to put these on here like this. I had to put them on again because they weren't centered very good. I was going to slide off one side. And when you get it on there, you have to get it. I mean, it needs to be just okay, maybe 3 tight. Go! Did you see that? It takes astrophysicists to figure out how much pressure that has right there, but we'll never know. We don't have time because this is coming out. I'm just going to say it. No, I'm not going to say it. I'm just going to do it. Yep. And that's what we're talking about, folks. That's why you're watching the right channels and the right videos. You're doing the right thing. Because it works. Just like that. We were afraid that we were going to have to weld, like Jake said, weld a nut to the end of these and then ease them out with a ratchet. But a pair of vice grips, some oil, some heat, and a crescent wrench, and they're out of there. So these are both of the broken bolts now extracted from our heads.
Awesome.
So now we're just cleaning and moving on to the next step. That's exciting. That's all. Look at these threads here. See this great big monster thread sticking out? And then there's a thread missing here.
Mm-hmm.
There's... How do you even explain that? Ooh, it's got a good booger on it right there, too.
Dude, Russ does such weird things.
I'm telling you. I also want to show you guys something on the other side of this motor real quick. That first bolt that was broken. I noticed there was something a little weird about the thread inserts that go into the head. And if you look right over here, what do you know? We have a thread insert that has pushed its way out. That is not supposed to be like that. I mean, it's supposed to be seated. Oh, it's singing songs. It's supposed to be seated all the way down in here. And that basically spreads out, gives you better traction for your bolt. That's not the case. Not the case at all. Thank you, Jake, for letting me help you work on this beauty with you.
I appreciate having a second set of hands turning on it.
Man, I love it. And like we were saying earlier, man, the more people you can get involved with these projects that you're doing, the more people you're teaching about it, the better. You're going to have a good time doing it. If you got the good people around you, do it. Just do it. Just go out and do these things. It's not that hard. What's the worst that's going to happen? I mean, don't answer that question, because if you're not careful, something bad could happen. But this is awesome. Man, I'm so excited we got those out of there.
Well, the broken bolts are extracted. So, now, I'm basically just waiting on scheduling to work out right with my cousin Zach. He's going to come down here with a Helicoil kit and the book that has information about this truck and this engine in it, with some torque specifications, some procedures, how-tos, stuff that we don't know. And it's looking good. Super excited. Like I stated previously, but not as well, we're just doing the exhaust manifold gaskets and a stripped out fuel pump mounting bolt hole. That's it. We're going to throw the engine back in the truck and keep driving the truck and enjoying it. And maybe next year or the year after that, yank the engine back out and do some painting on it and get some other information on it. But so this is basically day one of working on the engine. So hopefully we get Zach down here and get her buttoned up and ready to drop back in the truck. I'm going to go ahead and get this fuel pump off of here. Zach's almost here, and he's going to show me how to helicoil a stripped out bolt hole. Yeah, sure. Let's see what kind of crazy concoction I have to come up with to get a socket on there, but I'm going to have to get one on there. Oh, perfect. Until I get jammed up and can't go anywhere. Because, well, it doesn't look like it's going to get jammed up. Yeah. Yeah, it'll get jammed up. Well, I'm guessing the one closest to the block is the one that's stripped out because, well, I don't know. At this point, it's kind of hard to tell, actually. Now, where to put the bolt is the real question. In the magnetic tray, where all the bolts look the same, sounds like a great plan. Huh. Oh yeah, this is the part where I get my socket stuck. There we go. Now come out of there. Come on. Come on. Yeah, I figured. That gasket's shot, but I pretty much already planned on finding that gasket was shot. Well, it wasn't leaking or anything. It tore whenever I took the bolt off. So, all right. Well, fuel pump's off, and Zach's gonna teach us how to helicoil a stripped out bolt hole. So Zach's gonna give you a how-to on helicoiling a stripped out bolt hole. This should be entertaining because it's kind of his first time giving a tutorial on camera. I bet it'll be fun. Yeah, that's the creeper with no wheels I always joke about.
It works. So, how's the... I don't know. Are you recording all of this? Oh, you bastard.
That's how you get the most authentic stuff.
I see now. All right, so...
It's pretty well lined up and good and everything.
So, is this in frame down here?
Nope.
They can't see
the
this.
bottom of the frame is the bottom of the oil filter.
Oh, really? This is bottom of frame?
Just like this much under it.
Okay. Well, so I can pick things up from nowhere and they'll see them.
Yep.
Okay. So I can really just start this anytime then, huh? And
yeah,
you can do it in post-edit.
My buddies and I have found that instead of trying to like turn the camera on and off and on and off and on and off, let it roll and you catch some of the funniest stuff that you're going to catch out of it.
I see. I understand now.
This helicoil thing. I was like, have you helicoiled something before? And he's like, oh yeah, sure.
Tons of times. Yeah, I don't like how that one's pushed up in there.
What do you think caused that?
Running the bolt in. When they ran the bolt. See, because there's no backside to these, there's no shoulder for them to seat against.
Oh.
So they're like they're floating, right?
I got you.
So the issue there is then when someone ran the bolt in, it actually pushed the helicoil out the backside.
Yeah,
because it's pushed out like that, we can probably either turn it out or break it out and then install a new helicoil to the correct depth. The thing with a helicoil is making sure that you are below the surface at your full install so that the helicoil isn't keeping your mating surface from lining up.
Right.
So the issue there is most of these are correct. That one's like half a thread under. That one's just barely under. That's about the best you can get. You noticed how thin this particular ear is here?
Yeah.
That helicoil is super imaginary. And that's an application where on these FE heads, a lot of times you'll find a washer and a nut on the back side. because there is enough room back here. There's totally enough room on the back of every ear for a nut, and a lot of times if you notch a washer, you can find a washer, you can fit a washer to the back of it, and that is very, very common to find on an FE because the ports are vertical. So, hi, on today's episodes of Shenanigans Wrench Repeat, I'm Cousin Zach, and we're going to helicoil a hole. Alright, so on this poor engine, somebody, not me, totally me, stripped out a bolt hole changing a fuel pump. So, luckily, this is a blind hole. There is no entrance into the crankcase behind this hole, so we don't have to worry too much about chip intrusion into the oil pan and potentially damaging the engine. So we take a handy rag and we shove the hole closed, okay? First step, alright? Now, what's a helicoil? Helicoil is this lovely little, I got gloves on, you're going to have a hard time seeing, I'll take the glove off. Lovely little thread repair tool. These are, I wouldn't say low strength, maybe medium strength repair tools. I don't know how well you can see, I don't know where you are. But this is basically a square piece of wire round into a very precise form. And the kit comes with an installation tool, an appropriately oversized tap, and a good number of inserts. So that bearing in mind, the kit does not come with a drill bit, and it specifies a certain size drill bit. So we pull out our handy dandy drill index, and this kit in particular for a 3/8 bolt calls for a 25/64 drill. You'll notice this one's particularly used. I may have had to do this before. So, also, Cleeline drill bits, also Chicago Latrobe, several other companies, are all manufactured in USA, available at your big box lumber stores and online. This is a fairly reasonably priced kit, and these drill bits are made out of a decent material that doesn't shatter, like our favorite Pittsburghs from Harbor Freight, and are resharpenable if you have a good friend Kenton who knows how to sharpen drill bits. That's the secret. So anyway, an old trick here, like I said, not as crucial because this is a blind hole that does not enter the crankcase, but an old trick is to take your drill bit and dip it in a little grease, and the grease will hold the chips you make so that they don't fall into the hole, right? The secret here is to not overdo it on speed. You want to keep your alignment very straight. Luckily, since there's already a hole here, you're not drilling out and doing this in like a bolt that's broke off or something. The drill bit's more or less going to follow the hole. So the drilling process itself, yes, I'm cheap, I reuse gloves, isn't too bad. Slow speeds preferred, and you basically just want to feel what the drill bit is doing and let the drill do what it wants to do. It should not take a very considerable amount of effort, especially seeing as this is pop metal. In this particular application, this is drilling out a fuel pump mounting hole in a timing cover on this lovely FE that I am partially responsible for being here. So, figuring out the finish depth, I'm going to go more or less as deep as they were. I don't have to go necessarily as deep because I only have so much length of insert. They do make these inserts in different lengths, but generally you don't get much more strength out of a threaded hole in per depth as you do per diameter. So if it's a 3/8 bolt as this is, you don't get a lot of strength going much more than 3/8 of an inch deep. You do a little bit. I'm not a material scientist. I'm just giving you some kind of rules to fly by. So you notice I'm not getting in too much of a hurry. I'm checking the depth of the hole. I am not wanting to over drill. And in fact, I am not to the bottom of the existing hole, but I think I'm going to stop because I am plenty deep enough to, maybe looking at the lead in on the tap I have, maybe I will finish out and go to the full depth of the original hole. But I am certainly not wanting to go any deeper.
The lead out
Right.
on your tap there that you're referring to, is that just where it kind of curves in on the ends?
Yeah, so
I've
here.
always kind of wondered, why do they curve in on the ends? And I'm guessing it's to account for the bottom of the hole.
It's actually kind of the opposite. It's to account for getting it started in the hole. So here, let me fumble around. I'll go ahead and I'll get this tap out. So you see this tap has a certain number of threads that are not complete. They taper in. And I am not up on my tap definitions because there's taper taps, there's plug taps, there's bottoming taps. I can tell you the bottoming tap is the one that has threads all the way out to the end and are very hard to start. I believe this is what's called a plug tap. This is somewhere in the middle. I believe a taper tap would have like maybe 7 threads up here, maybe 5 to 7. That's a good Kenton question, actually. I'll tell you what I did not bring for this video, I'm not prepared for, is I do not have a tap handle. Do you have a tap handle or an 8 or 12 point socket that will fit this?
I have one of those things.
All right, I will take one. I am not a picky man.
Is that a 3/8 square there?
No, it is smaller. It's a, I would tell you, it might only be quarter. We'll see what all you have in tap handles. Let's try it. Yeah, we'll give it a try.
I also have the big one.
No. The big one's a bit much for this. So, you have a pick or something I can clean the hole out with?
I do. You want a 90, 45, or the weird one?
Just a straight one. It's fine. It doesn't take a whole lot. Yeah. So, we're going to make sure the hole is cleaned out of debris. We do not like debris in the hole. Make sure, yes, the hole is more or less straight. We haven't got into anything we're not supposed to. So, you know, grease is not really a tapping fluid, but since we have a bucket of grease sitting here, someone, me, is going to dip the tap in grease to lubricate the cut as we go through. You do you.
What would also work? WD-40? Or...
No. WD-40 is a little too light. An actual cutting fluid. My favorite cutting fluid is Myco Cut number 87, Extreme Pressure Cutting Fluid. The stuff's fantastic. Don't ask me where you can buy it because I just order it through work and it magically shows up.
For the cheapo at-home mechanics, what about like 10W30?
Yeah, 10 weight oil. If you have thread cutting oil, like, not that people do a lot of thread cutting for plumbing or electrical work like we do, but you can buy like rigid dark thread cutting oil a lot of places. It's handy. 10 weight. A lot of holes have been cut with 10 weight. A lot of holes have been cut with WD-40, and in something like aluminum, that's acceptable. In fact, if you're tapping aluminum, something as light as kerosene is acceptable. Which this is. I'm assuming this is aluminum. I don't have a magnet. I keep calling it pot metal just because it's not cast, right? So because this, handy dandy magnet. We can. Oh, he broke the handy dandy magnet.
I got out of hand.
You got out of hand with the handy dandy magnet. Okay. Yeah, so it turns out that is aluminum, right? So I'll stop calling it pot metal, I'll call it aluminum. So the grease is probably overkill, but whatever, it's already on there. So because this tap has a certain amount of taper in, it's going to be a little easier to line up and get straight. I will tell you what's going to run into a problem here. I've just noticed, as I've started this, is there's a chunk of block awfully close to where I'm swinging this tap handle, so I'm going to have to loosen this tap handle. Loosen the other way, the other left. Okay. Do you have, perchance, sockets this size? Now that I've got it already started. I've got it started well enough. Do you have a little baby crescent wrench? Do you have a baby crescent wrench? Maybe a little tiny wrench? We'll see. I might get away with it here. It's just my fingers are getting really close to being pinched. And yeah, now I'm not getting away with it. Okay.
Yeah, as far as the little baby crescent wrench, I do not have one. Don't you have one that you carried in your pocket for a while?
Yeah, it used to live in my pocket. It's in my truck somewhere, and I don't feel like getting up to go to my truck.
See about that. I'm guessing that's way too small.
It's not small enough. So that's an 8 with 8 mil, equivalent to 5/16. I would go ahead and try a 1/4 inch. Do you have a 1/4 inch wrench or a 1/4 inch 8-point socket? Or do you have a short 1/4 inch extension? Because I'll show you a dirty trick. All right, let's try this. If this works, I'll be hilariously pleased. Yep, not gonna work. We are just over 1/4 inch. I was gonna put the extension in the tap driver backwards and make a tap driving extension. But so that means we're something about what would that be?
Problem is I don't have it in a 12-point, but we can see how.
You don't. I assume you don't have any 8-point sockets, because I don't either.
Wait, what was the size you just said?
9/32.
That's bigger than quarter.
Yes. This is big.
I thought you said you needed smaller.
No.
Just see what it feels like, I guess.
Well, that's a 6-point, so that's the problem there.
We might have something.
You have a 12.930 seconds. You could try a 7 mil. It's entirely possible.
While I look for the other thing I'm looking for.
There's a 7 mil. 7's going to be good enough, folks. So I'm just going to keep doing this with a 7mm wrench. Now, don't get too aggressive putting the tap in. You actually need to turn the tap backwards a little bit every now and then with a 4-flute tap to kind of break the chip. This tap is not a 3/8 tap. This tap is oversized because it has to take up for the diameter of the threaded insert. Although this is not truly a STI or a steel threaded insert. That would be the next step up from this. So you just notice how this is made, I just mentioned, made out of wound wire. They actually make solid inserts, and the problem and the advantage to them both is they're a larger diameter of hole, right? So you can make a stronger threaded hole insert, but you have to have more space to do it. And in a place like this where you're kind of tight on everything, it's not gonna work out particularly well.
Are you hydrated enough?
Huh?
Are you hydrated enough?
Oh, I'm plenty hydrated. I hydrated quite well before we started this, so I could talk in front of the camera. But so I'm not gonna get really crazy. It's starting to feel like I'm getting, I just hit the bottom of the hole. So it's crucial you don't over tighten at the bottom of the hole, because then you'll strip the threads out you just put in, and that kind of defeats the whole purpose of this, right? So I'll go ahead and I'll take the tap back out. And it should come out, a fair bit easier. And then once I get it past that point, I can put this back on it, and I can get around the little ear here. And it gets to the point I can take it out more or less by hand. You have any brake clean handy? So you'll see there I've made a pretty good mess of chips. I still have the pick here we used earlier. I can clean a fair bit with. And
funny story with the brake clean. All the nozzles keep breaking off of these junk ass cans.
Okay, that's fine. I don't really.
Carbon choke cleaner.
Sure.
Okay, that's all you're getting.
Just a little bit. Watch your eyes, folks. Don't spray this in your eyes. It hurts a lot. You don't need a lot. This can doesn't work. This can doesn't work.
We'll try another one.
Try another one. Sure. I'm just trying to clean the debris out. We're not getting crazy here. You see, there's a little bit of. I'll go ahead and I'll get a blue towel for this, or a part of one. I'll just clean my grease off there. So I've got a pretty clean hole. The threads look pretty good. I've got as much of the debris out of the bottom as I can. If I had an air gun, I'd go ahead and blow that out. But this is going to just have to do for now. So this piece of the kit is the installation tool. They make a couple different styles, but the important thing to note is that there is a raised, I don't know what the good focal point for these folks is. Here, can they see up to there? Can they see that? There's a raised tang here on this tool, okay? And you'll notice there is on the bottom of an insert, there is a top and a bottom here. The open side is the top that you're going to eventually see as the top. The bottom has this tang in it, okay? And so the way this works, we got a good focal length. You put that in like that, and the raised tooth catches the tang. Now this is how you drive it into the hole, okay? Yeah. And so sometimes they start a little difficult. They don't always cooperate very well.
Is it safe to assume that that one has long since broke off?
We're going to get there. You actually break that off intentionally so the bolt can pass through it. Oh. If you'll notice, I don't know if the viewers can see, there's actually a notch cut where the tang meets the body of the helicoil, and that is intentionally made so that you can break the tang off and fish it out. I will tell you that it doesn't always cooperate when being fished out, and I will tell you that the installation tool does not have the same size square as the tap. Okay.
Pause right there for a second.
So,
I'm gonna see what it looks like from right here because I've got the best view you could possibly get of that.
If you're willing to hold it.
Okay, go ahead with what you were getting ready to
All
say.
right. So as we discussed over here when he was filming me and I wasn't paying attention, you got to be careful of your insertion depth. So you see the helicoil is just about to disappear under the surface there. All right, now I have that helicoil. I'm going to go ahead and remove the installation tool. That helicoil is just below the surface. That's about perfect, okay? So if we find ourselves a handy dandy test bolt. I don't like that one. I want a cleaner one. Why don't you have a clean bolt? Oh, there's a clean bolt. All right. Handy dandy test bolt. We find that we have a nice, look at that, smooth, threaded hole. But the bolt only goes in so deep. That's because of that tang.
That tang.
We should really figure out a good focal length.
That's
so
right
I
up here.
Don't just
That's
wave around wildly.
Luckily, everyone got to see the tang and the hairs in your nose.
Nice. All right. So that's because that tang's in the bottom. So what you do with this installation tool is turn it over, and you use that side as a breaker offer. I know, technical term. And you should really have some sort of hammer to do this with, especially a soft face so you don't do that up. I guess I'm just going to use my hand and see how we do today. That feels like it took. Yep, and the tang is no longer attached in the bottom of the hole. Now, what is very helpful is if you fish the tang out, you don't happen to have a... oh, you had a magnet out earlier. Where's that magnet?
Yeah, I have an even smaller magnet.
Well, you can stay there.
I'm going to leave this alone. I just wanted to get...
Can you get us lined back up here?
Yeah, whenever you put that insert in, I had the best view of it from up here, and I felt like I needed to capture that on the camera. Ooh, it's to be cutting it close.
Perfect. We have now fished the tang out of the bottom, okay? It works a heck of a lot better when you can fish the tang out. Luckily, he had a handy-dandy small magnet. So, now, the viewers shall note, if I hadn't lost my handy-dandy test bolt that I totally just had. All right, we'll find another handy-dandy test bolt. I'm just going to scatter bolts around Jake's garage, because that's my job when I visit. So now, the viewer will note, when you take a handy-dandy test bolt and you put it in the hole, it continues past the length of the insert, and we find ourselves all the way at the bottom of the hole. And the bolt will tighten up. So, now that I've talked through the whole installation of this one, and so long as Jake has a good camera angle, because this is aluminum, and because that one's already stripped out, and because I'm here and I have all the tools, this hole doesn't look that great. You know, it's got a couple threads tore out of it. I brought plenty of inserts to share with my cousin, so we're just going to go ahead and drill the other one out.
Okay, wait.
Huh?
Now that you've said that,
Tell me when you're happy with it and I'll start.
you go right ahead.
Alright, so since we're already here, we're already set up, we have the inserts, I brought plenty to share. They come in a multi-pack anyway. note about these motor mounts on this engine, apparently they were also imaginary. I've been informed when the engine was removed from the truck that the motor mounts did not follow, despite the fact that they were unbolted.
Yeah.
So, thing to remember...
They definitely just stayed sitting on the purchase.
So, thing to remember when you're tightening this down now, even though you have the helicoil, you still don't want to strip the thing out again. So, ideally you would get a torque wrench and torque this to spec. This is a 3/8 bolt in a non-critical application. We would say this has probably got a torque spec. We could check in the book. 25 to 35 foot-pounds. On a short wrench like this, that's maybe an ugga-dugga. You know, we'll use the official term there. So, right. A bit of... as we finish up here, a bit of an ugga-dugga, and...
So for the record, it feels a hell of a lot better than last time you installed that pump?
Yes, especially because I'm doing this kneeling on a pad in a nice clean workshop and not standing on my head inside of a truck.
I forgot you did this when it was in the truck. You've never had the engine
I've never had the engine out of this truck. So, Cousin Zach here again. We're going to do another small segment. We are going to repair this broken off studs on this exhaust manifold. Now we're going to incorporate some things you saw in some of the other videos as far as helicoils and whatnot. But what I wanted to focus on here was the importance of getting these cut off flush, getting them center pointed and drilled on size. You can go ahead and stop it there. Is that going to fit? Ooh, look at that. That's dangerous. Because see, there's this rib here I'm going to cut into. I'm going to have to do it this way.
Go.
Alright, so I've slicked this off flush, and all this is about getting square to it when I center punch it. So we got a brand new center punch of Jake's here, and I'm going to take the point off of it for him. It's important here to get this as centered as possible. And this is so you can get it drilled as straight as possible, so you have the highest likelihood of getting a good cut. So you take your trussy whacker-dacker here, and you center punch it real good. And yep, took the point right off of it. And so we'll go over here to this other one here, and we'll center punch it real good. So now I'm going to go ahead and drill these out. And I won't bore you with that, but I'll get them drilled out, and then we'll talk about the virtues versus repairing these threads in helicoil. Damn it. Fucking broke off.
These.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, are you on video?
Yeah.
Okay. So this is the point where you have a decision to make, is I have managed to drill both of these out to the minor diameter of the 3/8 bolt. I broke a drill bit off in here for one of my small drill bits, and I had to keep knocking that down with a punch so I could keep drilling without ruining the big drill bit. So at this point, I'm going to decide I'm going to go ahead and drill and tap these for the helicoil. And the reason for that is, drilling this out, it does not look like I'm going to be able to drill and tap 3/8 bolts in them very well. Just the way that there's just not a lot of good material left in here. Part of it's I didn't quite get on center. I might drill out one more size and might see if I can clean it up with a 3/8/16. If I do, I'll show you that. If I don't, I'll show you what it looks like after it's got helicoils in it.
How about that? Sure.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why it's important to have a good friend, Kenton. Because if you notice, from just this little project this evening, I have taken, not a severe beating, but I've taken a little bit of a beating off the edge of these 2 drill bits from just doing a couple holes. So I'm going to take these to my good friend Kenton, and he's going to sharpen them, and then I have a set of sharpened drill bits. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, the importance of a good friend Kenton. So that's been today's episode of Shenanigans Wrench Repeat with Cousin Zach. You can blame me, sir, for such projects as the hot rod and the camper trailer, and now you've learned how to helicoil a bolt. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Oh, that was such a great outro.
I told you I had to ham it up a little. Come on.